Jimmy. Jimmy. Jim James, son!
Welcome back to another episode of the Jim's channel. I'm your host, and today I have been car shopping, or rather last night I went car shopping. I saw this poor forlorn baby end up on Craigslist, and after some haggling with a very drunken man, I got the price down to 400 bucks. Now for a running and driving car, especially a Corolla in this economy, 400 bucks to me isn't that bad. You know, you're not gonna steal every car, but it's pretty close on this one. So let's take a look. She's a 1995 Toyota Corolla DX with a 1.8 liter 4-cylinder and the 4-speed automatic. Thankfully, I do not buy the 1.63 speeds. Those are junk. Well, they're not junk. They just rev their heart out on the freeway, and I have no patience for such things. It's got ugly hubcaps. All the paint is peeling off. Let's take a look around her, shall we? Hello, Mr. Pole. So, she's got all the windows in her. Windshield is not cracked. Paint is hideous, like I always mentioned. Quarter panel has received a ding-dong. Somebody bonked into it here and crinkled it here. Needs a tail light, obviously, because of the bonking. Not terrible. It could probably be pushed this way with a sledgehammer. Some idiot has not only removed, but begun to sand all of the Toyota emblems off. Like, they really added insult to injury. Instead of just taking them off and allowing me to eventually put them back on, you had to sand them as well. I don't get it. Why? Why do people do this? Why? Anyway, it's got the older style taillights. Yeah, I just noticed that it's got the older style taillights. I thought 95 to 97 had the newer ones, but maybe this is an early 95. Anyway, the door is ajar.
Shit, how can a door be ajar?
And it doesn't really go any better than that. The button does work. It's missing a hubcap that actually flew off while I was driving it home, so that's good. It's got the obligatory broken driver's side door handle, which does work. You just have to sort of grab it. Oh, look, listen to that. There you go. Just gotta finagle it. The obligatory interior broken door handle on the driver's side. People, these are 10 bucks on eBay. Just change the motherfuckers.
God damn!
It's really not that hard. I'm not sure why this continues. Does have power windows. Does have a door panel that is intact. The rest of the interior is, well, it's ugly. Let's take a look, shall we? It's got 185,000 miles, which isn't bad for one of these, honestly. I've driven one of these 300 plus, so I know they go quite a distance. The center console is ruined. Radio is gone. Controls are gone. Ashtray is gone. Basically, this guy was like an ape or something. He was just like, just broke everything. I don't get people, man. Drugs probably is what I'm guessing. The guy who sold this to me said he was a mechanic, but from what I'm seeing, I'm not going to use these. I hate these things. I don't like these. I put the factory stereos back in these, and we don't have any problems. It did have the rare center console option, which he lovingly broke. This is a rare option. You don't see these very much, including this. So that's interesting. It's got some junk down in there. That might be the broken piece missing from there. What do you know? Missing the trim for the Prindle. Does not have a headliner in any way, shape, or form. What the hell? Why is it purple? Oh, a little bit of the Mary Joingus. Suck it, do pipe. What? Suck it, don't pipe. Suck it down pipe? I don't know. This one is red. I asked, what's your girlfriend's name? They said, Tara. I must have bought this car from Beast Boy. Always getting cucked by Tara. Well, that's interesting. I guess I'm gonna need a pair of sun visors because I'm not driving around with that shit. Glove box. This car is looking like less and less of a deal every second that passes.
Every 60 seconds in Africa, a minute passes.
Shit in here, which I'm sure is fantastic. So look, there's all of the center controls, well, some of them. Let's see if the air conditioning works. I'm gonna go ahead and say no. Bunch of high-grade bolts for some reason. Well, alrighty then. What the hell is this? Oh, those are fuel injectors, I think. Sorry for the lighting. It's early in the morning. Got some work to do today, including going to the junkyard, so this is kind of the first time I'm actually looking at it in the light. I bought this at 11 o'clock last night from a very, very drunk man. I guess I get a set of fuel injectors. I would not put these in, but they are free, so we'll see what we can do with that. Let's pop the trunk. I have not done that on this car, and I probably should have done that before I bought it instead of after. You never want to do things after. That seems to be the motto of my life, though. I do everything after. What the fuck? Well, transmission fluid. That explains some stuff. I don't know what this is. A garden hose with like splitters in it. I don't know. This is going straight in that dumpster right there. I'm glad these guys are fixing that house. I could just take everything, including this whole car, and just park it in the dumpster. That's kind of where it belongs. How long has it been since the tags were valid? Only a year or so. That's not bad. Over $400, what the hell can you expect? You know what I mean? Especially right now. So it looks like we got some work to do. I bet you the passenger door handle does not work either. Well, that one works. This one kind of works. That's surprising. I didn't expect that. The rears always work. For some reason, people don't have the bright idea to simply swap the rear to the front. Yeah, look, that's like a nice shiny door handle. Looks like someone actually changed this. I'll probably just swap the rears to the fronts. What the fuck? A pumpkin? Because it's Halloween? Oh no, this is a bunch of Crown Royal bags stuffed into each other. That's gonna go right in the fucking dumpster. Bunch more trash. Well, now that we've seen the interior, the exterior, all around. Wow. That reminds me of that South Park episode with people who drive motorcycles. If your car is that loud, you're just a nuisance. Kind of like the governor of California. No, I said nuisance, not Newsom. Anyway, you get what you get for $400 dues. We're going to try our best to clean this up right now. And then we'll make a trip to the junkyard. Because this thing desperately is in need of some parts. And it doesn't start. The battery is dead. So we're going to have to go get a battery as well. So I'll catch you guys in a little bit, eh? Here we are at the junkyard. I did manage to find exactly what I was looking for. A taillight in pretty nice condition. This vehicle also still has the door handles in it that work. And some sun visors. It does not have the radio bezel that I need, but I'll keep looking. So it does have a good bit of parts that I can use off of this one. This is a very clean vehicle. I think it even has the emblems. Let's see. Yes. So this was nicely taken care of. So far, the treasure haul is looking pretty good. We got that tail light, got a bunch of other odds and ends such as door handles, emblems, sun visors, etc. We have another Corolla here, and this one right here are all the center HVAC control little thingies. I don't know what you call them, little knobs that I need. And it's got the original stereo along with this center control bezel that I need. So this has a lot of what I'm looking for. I might even take that door handle over there. How many miles does it have? That's not much for one of these. Almost every single one of these I've seen here has like 300,000 plus miles. This must have been a 1.6. Well, I've made it to the end of the junkyard and I've basically found everything I was looking for. You got the taillight, the stereo, 4 matching Toyota hubcaps, sun visors, ashtray, emblems. So everything's in here. Let's head home and throw it on. Well, we're back from our trip to the junkyard. We got the taillight, we got the sun visors, we got the hubcaps, door handles, etc., etc. So the first thing I did was throw the stereo in. You can see that's in there now. I'm not going to keep this in there. I just want to see if it even works. It was pretty cheap, so to throw it in there just to have... Honestly, I paid for this just for the little extension harness behind it because it was cheap enough. I'm not going to put this piece of crap this guy gave me in there. I don't care if it is Bluetooth. This thing feels like nothing. Okay. I do have the thing that goes here. I got one from the junkyard. I am going to have to glue this on so it looks at least somewhat normal. I have the little pieces here for the HVAC control knobs. I've taken everything out to make sure everything is looking proper and at least working. Make sure that the wires are able to be plugged in because when I removed this, the wires were just unplugged. I do have to reconnect everything basically down here. So what I'm going to do now is throw the hubcaps on. I'm going to change these door handles, even though actually this one seems okay. So I'm going to change the inner and outer door handles on that side. Then I got to put the tail light on, along with the ashtray and the emblems and those hubcaps. So just real quick, I'm going to throw all that on. Cigarette tray, ashtray thingy installified. Hubcaps press-onified. That one's a slightly different color, gonna have to paint it. Next thing is to take off these very strange sun visors with the old socket to me.
Socket to me?
I still don't understand the point of this. So you don't have money to take care of your car, but you do got money to do this? I don't get it. I'm confused. All right, so I threw away Sarah and Tara, or whatever the hell their two names were, for some at least functioning, slightly less disgusting sun visors. Only slightly. I installed this surround, plugged everything back in, and now I'm putting these fancy little knobs back where they belong. So let's see if we can... There's one there. They're all on the floor over here. I got a couple of them from the junkyard. So this one actually goes here. They still click on, look at that. Now that's a score. Wow. Put that back in there. Now, the air conditioning doesn't work because the compressor is seized, so there's no point for me to put that back in, but aesthetically, it's pleasing, you know? I need to put this little thing here with some super glue so I can actually see what I'm doing when I'm changing that. Oh, look at that. Just leave it like that, right? It actually kind of holds on okay, but still gonna get some super glue for that. This is the idea of this vehicle is budget to the max. I am going to drive this car to its grave more than likely. So I'm not gonna spend a bunch of money doing a bunch of fancy shit to it because, again, the idea is how cheap can you motor? You know, how cheap can you possibly go for a car? This is gonna be the ultimate in Jimmy Jim Jim's cheapery. Ultimate of my Jewishness coming out. Heckle, shekel, shekel. Probably gonna get canceled after that too. Oh, that's okay. I was already canceled like a million times. That's why I don't have any subscribers. Another thing I need to do is fix this. You can see it's broken, but I did find the piece, so I'm just gonna glue that back on there. Put some screw holes in here and put the top back on, and I can have myself an armrest. Nice rare factory option. But so far, she's turned out good. All these parts in total cost me $100. So at the end, I will give you a breakdown of everything that I've spent on this absolute jalopy. At least the windshield's not cracked. I have many expensive cars that I purchased that had cracked windshields. Poor taillight didn't stand a chance. That sounded good. I just got to press this in. I don't know if I'm going to take this to work and take a sledgehammer and just push it out or what. It's not really pushed in that much. I almost don't even care. So we'll see what I do. Alrighty, it's been a couple of days, but we are back. As you can see in that amount of time, I've cleaned up the Corolla just that much. If you're wondering what that noise is, I'm draining the coolant right now. Because A, it's filthy, and B, I need to change the thermostat. Because the thermostat does not work correctly. When you get on the freeway, the temperature goes and drops like a pee-pee in cold water.
Oh my.
So that's no good. What I did do is clean up the tires, throw the hubcaps on, painted each of the hubcaps to match, painted the black trim and the mirrors, and happily cleaned up the interior of the car. Looks a lot better, doesn't it? Put some floor mats in that I got from work for free. I've got some coolant in here that I'm going to be throwing into the radiator after I change the thermostat. I decided to keep the stereo for now because it's working and it's not that bad, honestly. The speakers are pretty good in this car, so I have no complaints there. Like I said last time, I put the sun visors in. I did wipe down the entire interior, reconnected the center console, etc., etc. So she's looking pretty good now. I think we're about, I want to say, $580 into the project. Oh, I also painted the black strip on the back. I apologize for the wind noise today. It's going to be a little bit windy. I'm doing this on a day when the weather doesn't look like it's going to respond for too much longer. So I got to get this done. But the first thing I had to do was come over here and remove the air intake snorkel. Because for some reason on this car, thermostat is hidden right there. So I got to get two 10mm bolts to pop the thermostat out. But first we got to drain the cooling system of this rather nasty and low coolant.
That's nasty.
Luckily we got some new coolant. You can see somebody just didn't change the coolant enough on this vehicle, which you definitely should on these. Did put a new battery in it, so it is starting just fine. The other day it did leave me stranded when I went to go take it to work. Turns out there's an ignition kill switch under the dashboard that I knew nothing about until I traced the wiring back. So today I'm going to pull a plug out, see the condition of the plugs, and wonder if I need to buy a new set. Clean the throttle body, flush the cooling system, replace the thermostat. Definitely going to need a motor mount at some point. But for now, we're just going to be doing little things here and there. So follow me. So I had to flush that coolant tank bottle because it was literally full of mud about that thick at the bottom. Then I also had to come in here and pull the thermostat. See, there it is right there. Little check valve is at the top, and it's quite dirty. Easy to get to, at least. Some cars it's quite difficult, especially the new Ford Focuses. They stick it up under here for some reason, under the alternator. But so far, so good. I've flushed the coolant a couple of times into the pan. Quite nasty. So hopefully we're on our way to improving this car's quality of life and drivability. It's not as bad as I was expecting, but this does look quite old. I don't know if you can see that. Let's see right there, a little logo. This does appear to be a genuine Nippon Denso part. So this is probably the better part of 15 years old. But the new one, it's new-ish. And this one is quite crusty and old. So let's go ahead and change this out. See the difference? You know, they say size matters, and well, this one's packing. Your boy Nippon Denso there has got a little one. Unfortunately, I think she's muerto. So go ahead and put this one in. I do have the new gasket. It says it fits. There's a 7AFE, that's what motor is in this. Let's see, 85 to 95 Toyota, blah, 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 blah. I believe these also fit a Nova, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Chevy Nova. As Scott says, in the pile. Ooh, that made a nice clunk. All right, new thermostat installed. The throttle body's gonna need a cleaning, if you can see down in there. Quite filthy she is. Poor little car. So stick a rag in there with some brake clean and clean that up. Luckily, it's not like the drive-by-wire throttle bodies of today, where if you do that, you break the entire throttle body and cost yourself $350. After that, we're gonna pull a plug out and see what the plugs are looking like. That will determine if I have to replace the cap, the rotor, and the wires along with the plugs. Surprisingly, inside the rotor looks quite good, and the rotor itself looks pretty good. It's a little worn down, so I might replace that, but it's clean, so that's surprising to see. The next thing I'll do is pull one of these plugs. This is one of the spark plugs I've taken out of cylinder number 1. It's a Bosch Platinum. And she a little ugly. I'm gonna go ahead and get a new set of spark plugs for this vehicle. I'm gonna go pop over to the store real quick, because this is not right. Now that's better. Gapped at 0.44, because the other plugs, man, those are not good. These are just some basic NGKs, but they're a lot better than some crappy ass Bosches that were in there. She's all back together, spark plugs changed, interior cleaned up a little more. It's gonna need one more vacuum, I would say, but everything's back together. Let's see how it starts up, huh? There's the key in the ignition, ready? All the lights come on. Turns on the first key. I mean, come on. First crank, she starts right up. Plastic all kind of rattles in unison. That taillight bezel back there is the main culprit of the rattling. I'm gonna have to go ahead and remove that, because it's, well, it's not even attached. Let me show you. Let me crawl over here and show you what I mean. Look, it's not even attached. It's just garbage at this point. So I will figure out how to repair that in a little bit. But there you go. She runs and drives. It is not 9:41. I don't know why the clock for some reason isn't keeping time. She vibrates quite a bit. I think she needs motor mounts. I'm gonna go ahead and change the both of them when I have some time. But she does go right into gear. And you can see it gets a lot quieter once you actually put it into gear. So when you're at an idle, it's not so bad. The bumper rattles on that corner because it's not bolted in properly, and it's quite irritating. Once the car warms up, it just goes ba 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 ba. But see, this is for the door. And that's for my seatbelt. So if I were to push this button, well, I guess you gotta actually plug the seatbelt in, but no lights. No lights at all. 185,000 miles. Stereo's working. There you go. Blower motor works. Air conditioning, I believe, does not. See nothing at all. But she's doing okay, all right? For the price, she's good. So what I'll do now is take her for a drive, and then I can determine what I'm gonna do, if I'm gonna keep it, just to beat on it, or maybe go look at another one. I saw another car on Craigslist that I kind of want, and I'm gonna give the guy a call. I've been texting him all morning. I've only got one response, the single word yes. You gotta kind of harass these people sometimes because they won't answer the phone for whatever reason. Trying to sell a car, but you don't answer the phone. I don't get that. But let me give this guy a call, harass him a little bit, and see if he wants to sell me this thing. It's about a day later. I did drive the car to work yesterday and it did do just fine, so that's good. It does have a small stumble and or hesitation in second gear, which I believe, I'm hoping, is the spark plug coils and the distributor cap and rotor. I purchased a set of those and I'm gonna throw them on right now in the darkness with this little tiny light lighting my way and the sound of aircraft gently overhead. But it's just something I want to get sorted out. I also bought a fuel filter that's somewhere back here. So for now, because I'm, you know, pressed for time, I'm just gonna go ahead and throw this on and see if it improves it on my drive to work tomorrow. It's been yet another couple of days and I'm out here changing the fuel filter now. Again, sorry for the wind noise. I don't think it's gonna let up anytime soon. You can see the head, which is a 17mm down there, and the bottom, which is a 14mm down here. I believe the fuel filter is clogged because even after changing the cap and the rotor and the wires, it still hesitates just a little tiny bit. So I'm gonna go ahead and change this. I do have to unbolt the two 20 or two 10mm bolts that are down there. I also managed to change out the passenger side motor mount so the car no longer shakes horrifically. I don't know if you can see that, but it's right there. There's the new motor mount down in there. 17 bucks from a brand called iSumo, and I've actually never had a problem with these people. Don't buy the Anchor, don't buy the DEA/Marmon ride control. If you ever heard of a brand called iSumo, iSumo is one of the cheaper brands and I don't have a problem with vibration. So little tip there. But now we're gonna move on to taking the fuel filter out down here and replace it with a new one. So here is the cause of the stumbling. Are you ready? This is the old fuel filter. Oh my. I don't think fuel is supposed to be that color. So much for prosperity, huh? I'll have to clean that up, but she's definitely clogged. The new one is a real pain in my anus to get up in there. See that? No space, just no space for anything. But hopefully I can get it bolted in real soon and I can see if this solves the stumbling issue. I'm nearly certain it is going to, because this filter is, or that filter anyway, was basically clogged 100%. All right, we got that new fuel filter up in place. Man, that thing was freaking clogged. The brakes on this thing are pretty good. They're smooth to the touch. They do look like they have grooves, but they're actually smooth to the touch. And the brake pads on this are basically brand new. So the brakes don't need the attention right now. I may grease the caliper pins since I'm already down here. Sway bar links are a little bit torn, but they're not making noise just yet. So now that we've got the motor mount changed out and this fuel filter changed out, which was obviously clogged, I'm gonna see how she drives. If I don't think it needs any more work, I'll drive it as is, but if I think it needs just that little bit more, I'll change the fuel pump and I'll change the motor mount on this driver's side, which is arguably the hardest. But first I wanna see how she drives. Well, we're getting into the last of it. We have the motor mount ready for replacement and the Bosch fuel pump ready for replacement. You can see this is completely shot. That's why we're changing it. On both sides, it's completely collapsed in and it makes the car vibrate quite harshly. So let's get to pulling this thing out because this is arguably the hardest mount in the whole car. You have these here, these two bolts, two 12s, a 14 right here, and then you have two 14s down here that actually come up from underneath. And that's the hardest part, is getting level ground so the bolt holes line up. Well, all right, you can see I'm kind of out of breath. This was a little 2-hour ordeal. This little bastard did not want to go in. The two forward bolts were actually the easiest this time. Usually they're the hardest. This bolt wasn't too hard, but this little bastard right now, absolutely not. This little thing, I had to wedge a pry bar in here and then lower the car and raise it up repeatedly just to get this thing to even come close to aligning. And then I had to really mash it down with an electric impact. Wherever my dewalt is, I don't know. It's right there. Damn. So now I gotta go do the fuel pump, but this little bastard hopefully fixes all of our problems with the vibration. Alrighty, we got that motor mount in, finally. Now it's fuel pump time. Arguably, the fuel pumps on these cars are the easiest job in the entire world. Probably takes about 20 or 30 minutes to an untrained person. Back seat just pulls right out. Used to be clips here, I guess, but they're gone. Here's one of them. The other one just, you know, gone. 4 Phillips head screws. We're gonna go ahead and pop that off. I got the cover off and we are faced with our first little caveat, and that is that somebody has rounded off the bolt that attaches into the fuel sending units. So kind of expected as much considering the mechanic that owned this car previous to me, but we'll get it done. It's not that hard. Had to get the old vice grips on there. I'm trying to buy a tap and die. Anyway, you know where that's from, don't you? Anyway, we got her loose with the old vice grippos because There was no way that bolt was coming out. I stripped the fuck out of it after trying to fix the previous person's mistake. But that's okay, we got it loose and that's all that matters. Got the fuel pump and the sending unit out. The, I don't know what you call it, I guess it's like a rheostat. The float was completely disconnected from the actual fuel pump and just sort of floating around in the tank. The tank is very clean on the inside. There is a little bit of smut here and there, but for a tank that's 30 years old, that is nice and clean. That's a good thing to see. The pickup sock, completely clogged. No wonder the car was having its little fits here and there. There's probably no fuel actually getting into the pump. And on top of that, the pump is corroded all over the place. I'll actually show you in a second. The wind is kind of heavy right now. That's why I'm doing the audio in here so you can see what I'm talking about. Let me go get the pump and I'll show you what I mean. Like I said, the wind is horrific, so bear with me. But this, look at that. Boy, isn't that just as clogged as she gets. This orange piece was disconnected and floating around in the tank. I reconnected it and just clipped it in place. And look at the corrosion on the actual pump. So luckily we purchased a whole new pump and associated hardware. So let's go ahead and throw that on real quick. There she is, all back together. New fuel pump, new hose, sock, little rubber thingy. No gasket unfortunately, but she looks a lot better. And I also took a zip tie and clamped this thing on here because you can see that clip there is broken and that clip there is broken. So that was just allowing this little piece to flop around in the tank. I got it all put back together, started the car up, checked for leaks, no leaks whatsoever, so we're doing good. All I gotta do is button this little cover back up, put the back seat, clean everything up, and we are on our way. Hopefully we have no more stumbling. I'm gonna be certain this time because that fuel pump was clogged. I don't even know how fuel was getting through it, to be honest, so that should show you how tough these little cars are. These little bastards will take a beating and they'll keep on kicking. So hopefully with that motor mount changed out, no more horrible vibrations, and hopefully the fuel pump has stopped any of the sputtering and spitting and sputting. So let's hope. So here we are finally driving the Corolla at the very end. It does still kind of sput and sputter. Let's see if I can accelerate and show you. There it goes a little bit. Anyway, so we're gonna have to determine what exactly is going on with that. Whether or not the distributor has a faulty area in it, or maybe the throttle position sensor has a dead spot. That happens in these pretty frequently. So we'll keep doing a little bit of research and see what we can get. Other than that, it drives all right. The vibrations are a bit more than, see when I come to a stop. A little bit more than I'd like, but, oh, there's a sputter. You hear it? It sort of goes, only at like accelerating speeds. When you're cruising, it doesn't do that, which is weird, but whatever. So I'm not gonna dig too deep into it for now. I'm just gonna drive it back and forth. I'd like to solve some of the fact that the plastic rattles like absolutely crazy. That's rather annoying. But everything works in the vehicle. I can't really complain for the price. Hopefully I can track down the source of the sputter. I'll do some research and see what I can do. But for now, that's gonna be it for me. And I will catch you guys in the next one. As always, thank you for watching. But it's time for me to get to work here. I'm just arrived at the gate. So I will see you next time. Bye.